Hello, I'm Sunny. I am an actor on General Hospital, and many people really love both me and our General Hospital drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved General Hospital. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. General Hospital spoilers suggest that Jason Morgan has returned from the darkest chapter of his life, carrying wounds that run far deeper than anything visible on the surface. His long-awaited comeback during the milestone 16,000th episode on Monday, July 13th, immediately sent shockwaves through Port Charles and the audience alike, not because of dramatic words or explosive confrontations, but because of the silent pain etched across every inch of his face. The moment he appeared on screen, it was impossible to ignore that this was not the same stone-cold viewers had known for years. His once powerful frame had grown noticeably thinner, his posture carried the unbearable weight of survival, and his hollow expressions revealed a man who had endured unimaginable suffering. Without saying much at all, Jason's haunted eyes told a story of torment that words could never fully capture. The emotional impact of his return rested not in what was spoken, but in everything left painfully unsaid, leaving viewers with the unmistakable feeling that something unimaginably tragic had happened while he was imprisoned by the WSB. The first glimpse of Jason's journey home unfolded aboard a plane as he quietly made his way back to the people who had never stopped waiting for him. Instead of offering relief, those peaceful moments in the air were repeatedly interrupted by brutal flashes of memory that refused to let him escape his past. Through chilling flashbacks, viewers witnessed fragments of his imprisonment in Jakarta, where a ruthless prison guard relentlessly beat and tortured him inside the walls of his cell. Every violent memory seemed to crash into Jason's mind without warning, reminding both him and the audience that physical freedom did not mean emotional freedom. Although the nightmare was finally behind him, it was painfully obvious that he had not truly escaped it. The scars left by captivity had followed him onto that plane, and they now threatened to shape every step of his future. Jason Morgan has always been known as a man who lets his actions speak louder than his words. But this time, his silence carried an entirely different meaning. It no longer reflected confidence or emotional control. Instead, it revealed someone struggling to process experiences so devastating that he could barely allow himself to think about them. His face constantly shifted between relief and heartbreak, as though every hopeful thought was immediately met by another haunting memory from the prison cell he had finally left behind. There was genuine happiness in knowing he was finally heading home to see his son, Danny Morgan, yet that joy was intertwined with overwhelming exhaustion and quiet terror. Jason looked like a man standing between two worlds, one filled with the comfort of family and another still trapped inside the walls of the prison that had nearly broken him. It became increasingly clear that returning home would only be the beginning of an even more difficult emotional battle. For Jason, the future now represents something entirely different than it once did. After surviving what appears to have been an unimaginable ordeal, he seems ready to embrace a new chapter of his life, one that is no longer defined by endless violence, dangerous missions, or constant sacrifice. Yet anyone familiar with Jason's extraordinary history knows that he has survived kidnappings, hostage situations, brutal beatings, and countless brushes with death before. He has repeatedly endured situations that would destroy almost anyone else, only to rise again with unwavering determination. This time, however, something feels profoundly different. His transformation reaches far beyond physical injuries or temporary emotional scars. The haunted expression in his eyes suggests that whatever happened inside that WSB prison reached a place within him that no previous enemy had ever been able to touch. As fans search for answers, General Hospital's own history raises unsettling possibilities that cannot easily be ignored. Longtime viewers may remember one of the show's most heartbreaking storylines from 2011, when Michael Corinthos suffered sexual assault after being sent to prison for the murder of Claudia Zaccara. At the time, it was an incredibly bold and emotionally difficult story, one that explored trauma in a way daytime television had rarely attempted before. Because of that history, some viewers are now wondering whether the show could be preparing to revisit similarly devastating territory through Michael's uncle, Jason Morgan. The spoilers strongly suggest that Jason's emotional devastation extends well beyond the daily beatings shown during his flashbacks. His pain feels deeper, more complicated, and far more personal than simple physical torture alone could explain. While nothing has been confirmed, the intensity of Jason's broken spirit has fueled speculation that an even darker secret may still be waiting to emerge. The contrast between this return and Jason's previous comeback only deepens the mystery. When he reappeared in 2023 after secretly working with the FBI, he had certainly changed from everything he had experienced, but the confident warrior fans recognized still remained beneath the surface. This version of Jason is something entirely different. He appears emotionally shattered, uncertain, and burdened by invisible wounds that seem to consume every thought crossing his mind. His transformation is so dramatic that even those closest to him are likely to notice almost immediately that something has fundamentally changed inside him. Whatever happened during his imprisonment did not simply leave scars on his body. It altered the very foundation of the man everyone believed they knew. General Hospital's summer spoilers hint that Jason's captivity will have a profound effect on every decision he makes moving forward, setting the stage for major changes that will ripple throughout Port Charles. The trauma he endured is expected to reshape his relationships with Danny Morgan, Sonny Corinthos, Britt Westbourne, Anna Devane, and even the powerful Quartermain family. Rather than returning to his familiar role as Sonny's unwavering enforcer, Jason may begin questioning the violent life he has spent decades protecting. Instead of choosing danger, loyalty, and endless battles, he may finally realize that peace has become far more valuable than power. After spending so much time staring into darkness, Jason could decide that the greatest victory is simply being present for the people he loves. His priorities appear to be shifting toward fatherhood, family, and emotional healing instead of another endless cycle of bloodshed and revenge. The possibility of Jason stepping away from his life as the mob's most dependable protector would mark one of the most significant transformations the character has ever experienced. For years, he has sacrificed his own happiness to rescue others, placing himself in danger time and time again without hesitation. But surviving such unimaginable trauma may finally force him to ask a painful question that he has avoided his entire life. Who saves the hero when the hero can no longer save himself? After everything he has endured, Jason may simply want to disappear from the violence that has consumed his existence for so many years. He may no longer feel responsible for carrying everyone else's burdens while silently ignoring his own. Instead, the man once known for his unbreakable strength could finally choose to protect the one thing he has neglected for far too long, his own heart. Even so, the emotional road ahead promises to be anything but easy. General Hospital spoilers suggest that Jason will keep the truth buried for quite some time, unable or unwilling to reveal exactly what happened during his imprisonment. The weight of his trauma appears so overwhelming that it could take months before he trusts anyone enough to share the devastating reality of his experience. Whether that truth involves relentless torture alone or something even more horrifying remains one of the show's biggest mysteries. Until Jason finally finds the strength to confront his past, those closest to him and the viewers watching every heartbreaking moment will be left piecing together the fragments of a nightmare that continues to haunt him long after his return home. One thing is already painfully clear. Jason Morgan may have escaped the prison that held his body, but the prison built inside his mind is only beginning to reveal itself, and the emotional journey that lies ahead could become one of the most powerful and unforgettable stories General Hospital has told in years. As the dust slowly settles following Jason Morgan's emotional return, an unsettling silence begins to spread across Port Charles. It is not the kind of silence that brings peace or comfort, but one that hangs heavily in the air, filled with unanswered questions and invisible pain. Everyone who truly knows Jason can immediately sense that something inside him has fundamentally changed. The familiar calm that once defined him now feels different, almost fragile, as though every quiet moment is masking an exhausting battle taking place beneath the surface. His expression carries the unmistakable look of someone who has survived far more than anyone realizes, and while those around him may celebrate the fact that he is finally home, Jason himself appears unable to fully embrace that relief. Freedom has returned him to his family, but emotionally, part of him still seems trapped within the walls of the WSB prison where his nightmare unfolded. The brief flashbacks shown during his journey home offer only the smallest glimpse into the suffering he endured, yet even those fragmented memories paint a horrifying picture. Each image of the prison guard's relentless brutality leaves viewers wondering how many days, weeks, or months Jason was forced to endure the same cruel routine. Every blow, every act of torture, and every moment of isolation would have chipped away not only at his physical strength, but also at the emotional resilience that had carried him through countless dangers over the years. Jason has survived shootings, explosions, betrayals, and life-threatening missions before, but this ordeal appears to have attacked something much deeper than his body. The man who once seemed emotionally untouchable now carries a vulnerability that feels impossible to ignore. It is that vulnerability, more than any visible injury, that has become the true focus of his return. That growing sense of emotional devastation has fueled increasingly unsettling speculation among longtime General Hospital viewers. While the series has confirmed that Jason endured brutal torture during his imprisonment, many fans believe there is still a crucial piece of the story that has yet to be revealed. The overwhelming fear, the vacant expressions, and the profound emotional disconnect Jason now displays have led some to wonder whether the horrors he experienced extended beyond physical abuse. Those theories become even more significant when viewed through the lens of the show's own history. Years ago, General Hospital shocked audiences by telling Michael Corinthos' deeply painful prison story, revealing that his greatest trauma came not simply from violence, but from sexual assault while incarcerated. Because the series has explored such devastating subject matter before, some viewers now question whether Jason's storyline may ultimately uncover an equally heartbreaking truth. At this stage, nothing has been confirmed, but the emotional clues woven throughout his return have left the possibility lingering over every scene. If those suspicions prove unfounded, Jason's trauma is still clearly severe enough to transform the course of his entire life. The emotional damage visible in every glance suggests that whatever happened inside that prison permanently altered his perspective. His return does not resemble the triumphant comeback of an action hero finally escaping captivity. Instead, it feels like the painful homecoming of a survivor trying to rediscover who he is after enduring experiences that shattered his sense of security. Every familiar face waiting for him in Port Charles now represents both comfort and heartbreak because reconnecting with loved ones also reminds him of everything he almost lost. That emotional contradiction creates a powerful tension surrounding Jason's future, making every interaction feel layered with unspoken memories and unresolved pain. His greatest challenge may no longer be defeating dangerous enemies, but learning how to live with himself after everything he has endured. Among the people most likely to feel the impact of Jason's transformation is his son, Danny Morgan. More than anything else, Jason's journey home appears driven by the overwhelming desire to be with his child again. The thought of seeing Danny seems to have become one of the few lights guiding him through the darkness of captivity. Yet fatherhood now carries a different meaning than it once did. Instead of constantly choosing dangerous missions and putting everyone else's needs before his own, Jason may finally decide that every lost moment with Danny is simply too precious to sacrifice again. Surviving such unimaginable trauma often changes a person's understanding of what truly matters. And for Jason, that realization may become the driving force behind every decision he makes moving forward. Rather than chasing another life-threatening mission, he may choose something far more meaningful, the quiet privilege of simply being present for his son. That shift in priorities could dramatically reshape Jason's relationship with Sonny Corinthos. For years, Jason stood beside Sonny with unwavering loyalty, serving as his most dependable ally and trusted enforcer regardless of the personal cost. Time after time, he accepted danger without hesitation because protecting Sonny had become part of his identity. But the prison experience may have forced Jason to confront a difficult reality he could no longer ignore. Every act of loyalty has demanded another sacrifice, and this latest sacrifice nearly cost him everything. If Jason truly decides to leave behind the violence of mob life, it would represent far more than a career change. It would symbolize a man reclaiming ownership of a life that has too often belonged to everyone except himself. The ripple effects of that decision would extend well beyond Sonny alone. Spoilers suggest that Danny, Britt Westbourne, Anna Devane, and the Quartermain family will all find themselves affected by Jason's emotional transformation. Each relationship now stands at a crossroads as the people closest to him struggle to understand the man who has returned. Some may encourage him to embrace healing, while others could unintentionally pull him back toward the dangerous responsibilities he has carried for decades. Jason himself may feel torn between the comfort of familiar routines and the desperate need to protect what remains of his emotional well-being. That internal conflict promises to become one of the defining emotional struggles of the months ahead, creating storylines built not only on action but also on deeply personal healing. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of Jason's return is the realization that his greatest battle will likely be fought in complete silence. He has never been someone who easily shares his emotions, even during the most difficult periods of his life. Now, burdened by trauma that appears almost impossible to put into words, he may retreat even further into himself. Every attempt by family and friends to reach him could be met with polite distance rather than genuine openness. It may take weeks or even months before Jason finally feels safe enough to trust someone with the truth about what happened behind those prison walls. Until then, every smile, every quiet conversation, and every moment of apparent normalcy may simply hide another painful memory waiting to resurface. That lingering mystery ultimately becomes the emotional heartbeat of this unfolding storyline. Viewers know Jason survived. They know he endured relentless abuse. They know he returned home carrying invisible scars unlike anything seen before. But the full truth remains hidden alongside the deepest wounds he refuses to reveal. Whether his trauma stems solely from brutal torture or whether an even darker secret still waits beneath the surface, the answers are certain to reshape not only Jason's future but also the lives of everyone who loves him. As General Hospital continues exploring the aftermath of his imprisonment, one thing grows increasingly clear. This is no longer just the story of a fearless enforcer returning home. It is the story of a broken survivor searching for hope after unimaginable darkness, and the emotional journey ahead may prove far more powerful than any physical battle Jason Morgan has ever faced.